All right, you're not going to believe this, but the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes in my new life was the sunrise. I mean, actually saw it. Not through the blinds of an overpriced apartment, but splashed across the window of a cheap motel room 3 states away, smelling of stale coffee and freedom. And the first thought that hit me wasn't what have I done, but why the hell is the Wi-Fi password no regrets 2024? Seemed a little on the nose, but also completely, utterly perfect. Because at that exact moment, my ex-girlfriend was probably just landing, tanned and tipsy from a 5-star Mexican vacation I paid for, about to walk into an apartment that was not just empty of me, but empty of, well, everything. But let's back up. This whole beautiful disaster didn't start with a bang. It started with a whisper. 6 months ago, to be exact. So, let me paint you a picture. My life, until that point, was pretty textbook. I'm Mark, 29. I have a decent job in data analysis. It sounds boring, and trust me, it is, but it pays the bills. All of them. And for 5 years, those bills included the ones for me and my girlfriend, Chloe. Chloe was vibrant. That's the word people used. She was an aspiring lifestyle influencer, which is a nice way of saying she was really, really good at spending my money and making it look like her own effortless, chic existence. Our apartment was a shrine to her aesthetic. Minimalist furniture I paid for, artisan coffee machine I paid for, and a closet full of clothes I paid for. I didn't mind, seriously. I was in love. I thought we were building a future. I was the steady, quiet foundation, and she was the beautiful house everyone admired. Turns out the foundation was sound, but the house was open for public tours, if you catch my drift. Chloe had always been a little protective of her phone. You know the type. Always screen down on the table. Jumps if a notification pops up while you're nearby. I always chalked it up to her being an influencer. She had to protect her brand, her engagement, her DMs with other creators. It was all part of the job, she said. And like a fool, I bought it. I was the supportive boyfriend. The one who'd take 100 pictures of her pretending to laugh at a salad until she got the perfect shot. The one who funded the weekend getaways that became her content for the next month. I was an investor in her dream, or so I told myself. In reality, I was just the guy behind the camera, literally and figuratively. The red flags were there, man. They were flapping in the wind, but I guess love is colorblind. The inciting incident, the moment my whole world cracked, was a Tuesday. A completely unremarkable, boring Tuesday. I was working from home. Chloe was out at a networking brunch, which was her favorite kind of event because it involved mimosas and zero actual networking. I was knee-deep in spreadsheets when our Wi-Fi crapped out. I did the usual stuff, reset the router, cursed at the internet company under my breath. Nothing. So, I figured I'd use Chloe's laptop. She never let me use it, said her whole workflow was on there and I'd mess it up. But this was an emergency. I had a deadline. Her laptop was on the kitchen table, open. I figured, what's the harm? I'll just hop on, send one email, and hop off. I opened a browser, and there it was. Her iMessage was synced. I wasn't snooping, I swear. It was just there. A wall of blue and gray bubbles. And one name at the top of the list caught my eye. Derek. I didn't know a Derek. The last message from him read, "Can't wait for you to get rid of the ATM for the weekend. We're gonna have some fun." My heart just stopped. It wasn't a thump, it was a flat line. ATM? Was that me? I scrolled up. My hands were shaking. And there it was. Months of it. Not just flirting. It was a whole second life. They talked about everything. Their dates. The things they did in our bed while I was on work trips. And worse, so much worse, they talked about me. Chloe complained about my boring job, the one that paid for the very phone she was typing on. Derek would reply with things like, "Don't worry, babe. Once you hit 100K followers, you can drop that zero and get with a hero." They had nicknames for me. The Wallet, Mr. Spreadsheet, the Human Capital One card. Each message was a tiny paper cut on my soul. They were laughing at me. She was using me, and this guy was cheering her on. There was one exchange that broke me. It was from the week before. I'd just bought her a new designer bag she'd been wanting for months. A ridiculously expensive thing. I did it because she'd seemed a little down, and I wanted to see her smile. Her text to Derek said, "The wallet came through with a new purse. It's hideous, but it'll look good on my feed. You should see his face when he gives me this stuff. Like a happy little puppy. A happy little puppy." My blood ran cold. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was this terrifying, calm clarity. The kind you get right after a car crash when you realize you're alive, but nothing will ever be the same. I didn't yell. I didn't smash the laptop. I just took a picture of the screen with my phone. Then another. And another. I documented everything. Then, I closed the laptop, pushed it back to the exact spot she left it, and went back to my desk. I didn't fix the Wi-Fi. I couldn't. I just stared at my blank screen, and a plan began to form. A cold, quiet, methodical plan. The first step was to play dumb. And let me tell you, I deserved a freaking Oscar. When Chloe got home that night, bubbling about her brunch and the amazing connections she made, I smiled. I asked her how it went. I listened to her complain about another influencer who copied her photo style. I made dinner. We watched a movie. And all the while, I was acting. I was playing the part of the loving, oblivious boyfriend. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Every time she touched me, I had to fight the urge to recoil. Every time she laughed, I could hear her laughing at me with him. But I knew that if I blew up, I'd lose. She'd cry, she'd deny it, she'd gaslight me, and in the ensuing chaos, she'd find a way to make herself the victim. No, my exit had to be silent, and it had to be absolute. The very next day, I called a lawyer. I found a pit bull of a guy who specialized in messy domestic situations. I laid it all out for him. The 5 years together, the fact that I paid for everything, the apartment lease in my name, the car in my name, the furniture I bought, the whole 9 yards. And, of course, the messages. He listened patiently, then a slow grin spread across his face. "So, you want to leave," he said, "but you want to scorch the earth on your way out." I nodded. "I want to leave nothing but memories," I said, "and I want to make sure they're bad ones." His advice was golden. He told me to start a slow separation of my assets. The first thing I did was open a new, private bank account at a completely different bank. I set up a direct deposit for my paycheck to go there. The joint account we had, the one I funded and she spent from, became a ghost account. I transferred just enough money into it every week to cover our shared expenses like rent and utilities, plus her allowance for shopping and brunch. It had to be a slow bleed. If the funds dropped too quickly, she'd notice. I needed to maintain the illusion that everything was normal. This is where the escalation began. About a month into my plan, she started to get suspicious, but not in the way you'd think. She didn't suspect I knew about the affair. She suspected I was having financial trouble. She came to me one evening, phone in hand, with a concerned look on her face that I now knew was completely fake. "Hey, babe," she said. "I was trying to buy that new skincare serum everyone's talking about, and the card got declined." I feigned surprise. "Really? That's weird. Let me check." I pulled up the banking app and showed her the dwindling balance. I'd already prepped my excuse. "Oh, shoot," I said, rubbing my temples. "That's right. We had a huge, unexpected tax bill this year, and my company cut our bonuses. I've been so stressed about it, I didn't want to worry you." You know what she did? She looked annoyed. Not concerned for me, not worried about us. She was annoyed that her lifestyle was being threatened. "So what does that mean?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Does that mean I have to, budget?" I played the apologetic, stressed-out provider. "Just for a little while, babe, until I can figure things out. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm letting you down." This was a masterstroke. It made me the sympathetic figure and refocused her energy on the problem of having less money, not on the problem of my sudden change in behavior. Her text to Derek that night, which I saw on the still-synced laptop, confirmed it. "The wallet is having money problems," she wrote. "So annoying. Might have to speed up my exit plan." Little did she know, I had an exit plan of my own. The next few months were a masterclass in psychological warfare. I became the most attentive, loving, and yet financially struggling boyfriend imaginable. I'd bring her coffee in bed, but then sigh about the cost of groceries. I'd compliment her new outfit, but then mention that we should probably cancel one of our streaming services to save a few bucks. It drove her nuts. She was stuck. She couldn't leave me, because even my struggling lifestyle was better than getting a real job. But she was miserable, and her misery was my fuel. The crown jewel of my deception was the vacation. About 3 months before D-Day, I sat her down. I told her I'd managed to move some things around, pulled some strings, and that I wanted to treat her. "I know I've been a drag lately with all this money stress," I said, putting on my best sad puppy face. "And you've been so patient. I want to send you and your 2 best friends on an all-inclusive, 5-star trip to Cabo. A week. Just you girls. You deserve it." Her eyes lit up. All her frustration with me vanished in an instant. It was the perfect lure. A shiny, expensive distraction. She spent the next 3 months planning every detail, picking outfits, coordinating with her friends. She was so consumed with the trip that she didn't notice me making quiet preparations of my own. While she was Googling best beach clubs in Cabo, I was Googling interstate moving companies. While she was trying on bikinis, I was signing the lease on a new apartment 200 miles away. I used my personal days for off-site training, when I was actually driving box after box of my personal belongings, my books, my clothes, my family photos, anything that was truly mine, to a storage unit near my new place. I was a ghost in my own life. I was there, but I was already gone. I even started selling off some of the more expensive things I'd bought for the apartment online. The fancy espresso machine, the limited edition artwork. I'd tell her I was selling them to make ends meet. She was so focused on her vacation that she just shrugged and said, "Whatever you have to do, babe." The breaking point wasn't one single moment. It was the quiet, agonizing countdown to her departure. The week before she left, she was on cloud nine. She was affectionate. She was happy. She was telling me how much she was going to miss me. It was all a lie. I knew it. On her laptop, I saw the plans. Derek had coincidentally booked a flight to the same resort. Her friends weren't in on it. He was going to be her little secret, her little vacation bonus. That was the final nail in the coffin. The morning of her flight was surreal. I drove her to the airport. She kissed me goodbye at the curb, a long, performative kiss. "I'll miss you so much," she whispered. "I wish you could come." I just smiled, a hollow, empty smile. "I know, babe. Have the best time. You deserve it." I watched her walk into the terminal, dragging the suitcase I bought her, on her way to a vacation I paid for, to cheat on me with a guy she was mocking me with. The moment she disappeared through security, a switch flipped in my brain. The sad puppy was gone. It was time for the wolf to come out. I didn't go home. I went to a coffee shop and waited. I tracked her flight on my phone. The moment it said in air, I made the first call. "Yeah, hi," I said to the moving company foreman. "It's go time." The climax of this story isn't a shouting match. It's the quiet, efficient dismantling of a life. The movers I hired were professionals. They swarmed the apartment like ants. I had a detailed inventory list. Everything was itemized. If I had the receipt, it went. The 70-inch TV? Mine. The leather sectional? Mine. The king-sized bed with the memory foam mattress? You guessed it, mine. We cleared out the kitchen. The pots, the pans, the air fryer, the Vitamix. All of it. I'd bought it all. Her closet was the only thing we didn't touch. I told the movers to leave all her clothes, her shoes, her ridiculous collection of designer bags. I wanted her to have something to wear when she was couch surfing at her parents' house. We even took the light bulbs. I'd replaced all the standard ones with expensive Philips Hue smart bulbs. So, yeah, I unscrewed every single one. I left the cheap, contractor-grade ones in a pile on the floor. I canceled the internet. I called the power company and the gas company and had the utilities scheduled for disconnection. The lease was in my name, so I'd already given my 30-day notice to the landlord, timed perfectly with her return. By 4 p.m., the apartment was a hollow, echoing shell. It was amazing how sterile it looked without all our stuff in it. It wasn't a home anymore. It was just a box. The last thing I did was take out the piece of paper I'd printed that morning. It was a single, double-sided sheet containing the most damning of her text messages with Derek. The ones where they called me the wallet. The one where she called me a happy little puppy. I folded it neatly and placed it in the very center of the empty living room floor. I took one last look around, not with sadness, but with a profound sense of relief. I locked the door behind me and didn't look back. The aftermath was glorious. I was already halfway to my new city when the first call came. It was from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Then another, and another. Then came the texts. A barrage of question marks and exclamation points. Then the angry accusations. Then the pleading. It was a masterclass in a narcissist's panic. I listened to one voicemail out of morbid curiosity. It was her. Not crying, but screaming. "Mark, where's everything? The apartment is empty. What is going on? Call me back right now." I deleted it and blocked the number. For the next 2 days, my phone was a war zone. Her friends, her mom, her sister, they all came at me. I was a psycho. I was a monster. How could I do this to her? I had a simple, copy and paste reply ready. It was a link to a password-protected cloud drive. The password was Happy Little Puppy. The drive contained screenshots of every single message. Every. Single. 1. The call stopped pretty quickly after that. The silence was deafening and beautiful. Her mom did text me one last time. I see. I am so sorry. That was it. I heard through a mutual friend what happened next. Chloe came back to nothing. Her affair partner, Derek, the hero, turned out to be a bartender who lived with 3 roommates. He was not, in fact, in a position to support her influencer lifestyle. He bailed on her the second he realized the money train had left the station. She had to move back in with her parents, into her childhood bedroom. Her social media went dark for a while. It's hard to be a lifestyle influencer when your lifestyle suddenly involves arguing with your dad about doing the dishes. As for me, I'm sitting in my new apartment. It's smaller, but it's all mine. The sun is coming through the window, and for the first time in 5 years, I don't feel like I'm just the guy paying for the view. I am the view. It was a long, cold, calculated 6 months. But let me tell you, the peace of mind? Absolutely priceless. So yeah, that's how I ended up ghosting a 5-year relationship and taking all the furniture with me. It was messy, it was brutal, but I have a feeling my back is going to hurt a lot less now that I'm not carrying a second person's entire life on it. If you want to hear more stories about dodging bullets and starting over, make sure you hit that subscribe button because you won't believe the online dating scene in a new city. It's a whole other kind of crazy.